Alright, y'all, we're officially back with a brand new video, and if you're new here, please hit that like button and that subscribe button. So we got an interesting topic we gotta talk about, man, because I've seen this story floating around on social media, and I had to talk about it. So if you're new here, once again, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's get this channel's video to 10 likes. So as you can see here at the top of the article, it says Marvel might have some trouble finding a villain for Spider-Man 4. And I could not believe this when I saw this on social media, so I'm surprised to see these articles popping up now. Spider-Man No Way Home came out nearly 3 years ago, but Marvel and Sony have yet to share any official details about the next entry in the franchise. We know Spider-Man 4 is coming. We just don't know anything about it quite yet. One challenge Marvel might be facing is deciding who exactly Tom Holland's Peter Parker will face off against, as most of the famed Spider-Man villains are currently wrapped up in Sony's comic book movies. According to leaker Daniel Richmond, there simply aren't many existing Spider-Man villains left for the Marvel Studios to introduce in the MCU. Richmond claims that whenever Sony uses a villain in one of their SSU movies, such as Venom, Morbius, or the upcoming Kraven the Hunter, they effectively block Marvel from using those characters in the MCU. Why? What sense does it make? And so we got a tweet here from Daniel Richmond saying Kraven has Rhino, Calypso, and Chameleon. Whenever Sony uses a villain, they block Marvel Studios from using them, which means there aren't many left for the MCU Spider-Man to face off against. As we've seen in the trailer, Sony's Kraven the Hunter takes Rhino, Calypso, Chameleon, and Kraven himself off the table for Spider-Man 4. As for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Homecoming and Far From Home had Spider-Man face off against Vulture, Shocker, Scorpion, and Mysterio. In No Way Home, we were introduced to Doctor Octopus, Green Goblin, Sandman, the Lizard, and Electro. At this point, Marvel Studios and Sony Pictures have just about exhausted all of the A-list villains from Spider-Man's rogue gallery. Most of the B-listers too. Unless there are plans to run it back with some of the aforementioned characters or introduce new variants, Marvel's going to have to get creative when it comes to Spidey's foes going forward. On the other hand, this lends credence to the rumor that Kingpin will play a significant role in the next Spider-Man movie. Although many fans were introduced to Kingpin in Netflix Daredevil TV series, he first debuted in Spider-Man comic in the 1960s. Compared to the vast majority of the remaining Spider-Man villains that we've yet to see in the MCU, he would be a perfect threat for a Peter Parker no one remembers to make a name for himself against in Spider-Man 4. I honestly gotta tell y'all, this is some straight bullshit. I'm gonna just come out and say it. It makes zero sense why Sony is doing this. Zero. Like, your whole spin-off universe is garbage. No one cares about Kraven the Hunter as far as it being a Kraven the Hunter film. It looks good as far as the trailer goes as an action-adventure movie, but as a Kraven the Hunter film, I don't hear anybody trying to holler about it. Y'all more, this whole, to me, this whole thing fell off with Morbius. When Morbius came out, it completely killed off the whole Sony Spider-Man spin-off universe, however y'all want to pronounce it. And now here we are getting this Kraven movie, and you got this leaker saying that anytime that Sony uses a Spider-Man villain, they block Marvel. Somebody please make this make sense to me, because it makes absolutely no sense that Marvel is deciding to that Sony is deciding to block Marvel from using any of the villains. Like, come on. Why? Are y'all upset because y'all not getting a bigger piece of the pie that Marvel is getting? I wouldn't surprise if this is true, that it ends up in court, that it goes to court, because there's only so many villains that you can use, and you can't really take a low-class villain from Spider-Man's gallery and try to make him an A-list villain. It just doesn't make sense to me how Marvel would try to make that work. Of course, I would like to have him have his own version of Green Goblin and Hobgoblin and Kraven the Hunter and all these other villains. But if Sony's going to keep eking out these movies for their own universe, which, what is the big end game here? No pun intended. y'all might as well let Marvel use some of these villains because y'all absolutely have no idea what y'all doing. The Sony Spider-Man spin-off universe ended with Morbius. It probably ended with the last Venom movie, even though we get the third film. It makes zero sense. Sony, let Marvel use these villains because we want to see Tom Holland face off against other villains, well-known villains, because you can't take unknown villains that were a laughing stock, probably like the Shocker, and I'm trying to think of any other character I can't, and trying to make them A-list villains. It ain't gonna work that way. It's like taking a C-list wrestler in wrestling and trying to make an A-lister. It ain't gonna work that way. So, with that out of the way, please post your comments down below. Let me know what you think about this story. If it's true, do you think it's BS? Do y'all think that Sony is right to not let Marvel use some of the villains for the MCU? Or do you think that maybe somehow Sony's trying to get Spider-Man over to the spin-off universe? To me, I think that Sony should let Marvel use some of their villains because their spin-off universe is dead. So let me know y'all comments down below. I'll catch y'all in my next video. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. 2,000 subscribers.